This tutorial is going to show you how to bring a physical sketch into Rhino and use it to sketch around, or maybe just include it in your files so that you can reference it easily. So we're just in a basic Rhino modeling environment. I'm going to use a command first called picture, and then navigate to a scanned image of my sketches or a photo. And now it's prompting me to draw a surface. And I'm just going to draw this without caring too much exactly how big it is. Now pictures using the picture command are basically planes with a material that is the picture mapped onto it. So if we go over to the properties, you can see it's a surface, and under the material you can see that the type is picture and the texture is the image that I had. I can also modify this to make it grayscale. So you might not notice too much of a difference if you turn grayscale on or off. You can also modify its transparency. So if you have objects behind it, this is how you modify whether you see through it or not. I'm going to go into a top mode here. Now I'm going to parallel projection, drawing directly on the image. And let's say I don't really want to deal with most of these sketches, I just want to deal with this one here. I'm going to create a rectangle, and I'm going to select that rectangle, and I'm going to use trim, and I am going to delete the rest of the object. I can move it here. Let's just move this to somewhere closer to the origin. And now I'm going to use a command called line, and I can just draw a line. Can give it a height as well, and you don't really see the lines I'm drawing just because they're black on black lines on the image. And here I'm going to use trim that out, and now you can see that I have a few lines that basically create a rectangle. I can use the rectangle command as well, and I can draw it that way, a little bit easier. See, I didn't get the same proportions because I guessed. And I can also create, let's say I want to make this a cube, I can give this a square dimension by holding shift when I create a rectangle. I can also draw that same rectangle, and I can start to draw the elevation, so I can literally draw it in, but that isn't super precise. You can see it's kind of sketchy. So I could take one of these drawings and give it more precision by going to the midpoint and drawing in the rest of the elevation, deleting lines I don't need. I'm going to go back to a perspective here, and now I don't want this to be on the ground. I actually want it to be as an elevation. There's a couple ways I can change that. I can select the items I want to manipulate. I could just turn my gumball on and either turn my ortho on or hold shift, and on the x-axis rotate it, and now it is essentially an elevation. And I would probably move it up a little bit so it's above the C-plane, so I can manipulate it that way. I can also use a command called rotate 3D, which allows me to draw the rotation axis and then give it an angle to rotate. So now I know it's exactly on the C-plane, so you might prefer that method. So maybe the next option I want to follow is making this into an actual shape or an actual solid. There's of course a couple different ways. Whatever way you use is okay. This was drawn as a rectangle, so it's a closed curve. I'm actually going to explode this, so now it's 4 curves, 4 segments, and delete the where the roof starts. And so now I can select these and just rejoin them. And now I have a closed curve. I can extrude this using Extrud Curve command, and if I have solid on, then I can draw it to a boundary, and now I have a solid. And your curves are still there, your original curves are still there. I'm gonna copy this to the clipboard and just go back and paste it. And I can actually take these lines and I can extrude those as well as curves. I can give them the same dimension. And now if I'm using, or if I want to do other iterations of the roof, I have this object which I can keep over here and just directly, plop the roofs down. So if you just want to draw the roof elevations rather than drawing the box every time, that's an option. And so you can take these items, you can actually run the Extrud Curve command first, and then you can select surface edges. And now I have, a roof that I can manipulate. And I can manipulate these from my sketches if now I've basically completed that. I can use like a move edge command, and I can restrict this into the vertical direction, and I can make it twice as large by using certain datums. I can move this, I can actually copy it over, and so that might be one iteration. Add a second iteration.